Hi and welcome. In this video, I want to talk about the Ohuhu Kaala series. This is a marker that I use all the time, but that doesn't get nearly as much attention as some other lines, and honestly, as it deserves. To me, Kaala is a great entry point into alcohol markers without compromising the quality, being one of the most affordable options in this category. Here you can see the two Kaala barrel types. They are light and feel very nice in hand. This one with the pointy end is the Kaala B and this one the original. The main difference between them is the nib setup. Kaala B has a slim brush, while the original Kaala has a bullet nib, and both have the chisel nib on the other side. Here is a close-up of both nibs side by side. And let me also include the slim chisel side for a full overview of the two. The slim chisel are the same on both versions. Let's also compare it with Copic Classic's bullet nibs, just to give you a sense of scale and feel. Now, one of the reasons I often recommend Kaala as a starting set is that the 60 color sets already offer a lot of flexibility. As you can see here in their chart, there's enough variety to experiment, to learn color relationships and complete full pages without feeling restricted. Even though there aren't many set options in this line, these are very versatile. These colors from the illustration set I can't live without, but overall, the landscape set is my favorite. That really comes down to personal preference though. Because Kala sits at a more approachable price point, I think it's important to talk about where it really shines in use, like how the nibs behave in practice. As I mentioned earlier, the original Kala set uses a bullet nib, and I honestly think this nib is excellent for filling spaces evenly. It has a very predictable thickness, which makes it very easy to fill small areas and control shadows precisely. And this was the first thing I noticed with Kala, the ink behavior. As you can see here, the color lays down full saturated and very uniform, no patchiness and no streaking. Most colors can accept multiple layers without damaging the paper, which makes Kala very forgiving, and it is very much appreciated when you're still learning or adjusting your technique. This predictable stroke width and closer control also makes the bullet nib great for textures like hair or fabric. You can create hair with different techniques, and this one is one that I definitely enjoy. It allows you to create a dramatic highlight effect and create visible streaks of hair. It's also excellent for precise shadows where you want to make the lines very defined. Things like knit patterns are much easier to build when the line weight stays consistent. Here's an old page where I used this effect for example. And here, creating this rug, we were able to add texture with the Invisible Color Blender. I feel the bullet nib gives you some really nice effect options for textures. Again, Kala excels at color mixing through layering rather than traditional blending. Because the ink flow is generous, colors mix beautifully when layered, creating natural, believable results. In this example, you can see how mixing two shades of brown with a mustard tone creates a sunlight effect. That is one of my absolute favorites. However, that same ink flow also means it's less suited for very subtle gradients in tight spaces where it can't bleed or open the pigment more than you might want. Basically, you will need more colors to create gradients as you won't be able to jump too far over tones. This isn't exactly a flaw, it's just understanding what the marker does best. Now, this is where color becomes really interesting for me. The slim brush introduction kept that control, saturation, and even color, but added pressure variation, which gives you more flexibility without losing precision. With the brush, there are more techniques and effects you can create, and this is my preferred option overall between the two. Taking it even one step further, Kala really shines as a part of a system, and I often use it in combination with my other sets. It's not a set rule, but I generally grab Kala for base colors, then bring in Honolulu markers to soften edges and create gradients and backgrounds. For really large areas, I struggle with Kala a bit, so I prefer Honolulu for those cases. Again, Mixing them is also a great option as they complement each other extremely well. Here is another close-up nib comparison for a closer look. From left to right, we have Kaala B, regular Kaala, Honolulu Plus, regular Honolulu, Copic Chow, and Copic Sketch. In this page, I use Kaala heavily alongside with other lines and mediums. Kaala may not be the most talked about marker line, but it's a very strong option if you're looking for something capable, approachable, and satisfying to use. I will be sharing more comparisons, my approach to building a marker set avoiding waste, and how I combine markers with other tools in my process soon. Thanks for watching.